When considering the background and cultural context of John Dewey's pragmatic viewpoints, it's important to understand that in this time period, a lot of things were going on that affected what he thought. On the Origin of Species, which was Charles Darwin's theory of evolution publication, it really kind of hit home with John Dewey because he wanted to see the use of the scientific method. And this is where that kind of came into play. The concept of using the scientific method, have a problem, find a solution, and move on with learning. Also, war and the Great Depression both really hit home with John Dewey as he lived through the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War I, and World War II. John Dewey was educated. His primary and high school education was really similar to very many around him. And then his college undergrad, he went to University of Vermont, where he graduated and then moved on to his professional career. He was a high school teacher at the age of 19, taught at the University of Michigan, then moved over to Minnesota, back to the University of Michigan, and then over to the University of Chicago, where he developed his own research trifecta of pedagogy, philosophy, and psychology into his educational department. Dewey's philosophy was pretty simple. He wanted to find a way to come up with solutions to real-world problems, as well as taking a free democratic society of educated individuals electing a governed person that was educated as well. In this philosophy, he believed the nature of the learner was to have the goal of a betterment of society through innate behaviors, learning and becoming a better community. Theory was implemented through different venues. Nowadays, it's used in things like the flipped classroom, where students are not required to just regurgitate information, but through experience, they take a problem and then practice through the scientific method, experiment, and find a solution to that problem. And that is when learning occurs. As far as diversity, Dewey believed that society succeeded because it was diverse, not because it was a group of people that had similar goals and mindsets. As he considered diversity being mandatory, education also was beyond labels, so he didn't believe in the concept of certain people getting certain privileges, despite the fact that he grew up when the Supreme Court still considered it okay for segregation. Dewey also had opposing philosophers. His main opposition would have been Plato's idealism. We're dealing with the metaphysical. John Dewey really wanted to keep it honed in and deal with the things that you could put your hands on. If it existed and you could test it through the scientific method, it could be proven right or wrong. So the implications and conclusions are pretty simple. Learning is an active process through theory of inquiry, gives us a deeper understanding and higher levels of learning rather than just metaphysical thinking. Through that pragmatic mindset, we're able to have a better society.